Welcome back to my channel, because today's story starts with a plane ticket, a lie, and a betrayal so audacious it felt impossible to believe. My wife, the woman I had trusted with everything for over a decade, had somehow convinced me to plan a romantic getaway to Mexico. Flights booked months in advance, my work cleared, our hotel reserved, and yet, when I arrived at the airport, ticket in hand, passport ready, I noticed something strange. Her suitcase was missing, her name nowhere on the flight manifests I had checked obsessively, and the realization hit me like a punch. She had changed our flight without telling me, and worse, she was nowhere to be found, leaving me stranded at the terminal while the flight attendants casually closed the gate behind what I assumed was her plane. And in that instant, my phone buzzed with a message that made my blood run cold. Gotcha! Enjoy Mexico solo winking face. Love, your wife. Signed in her familiar handwriting, a message meant to mock me, a prank she thought was hilarious. While I stood there, humiliated, angry, and completely powerless in a foreign country I had never intended to visit alone. But as I watched her departure on the screens, laughing with a group of strangers who had somehow become her co-conspirators in this cruel joke, I realized something crucial. Revenge wasn't just an option, it was inevitable, and it had to be perfect, slow, and humiliating enough to teach her a lesson she would never forget. So I began observing, collecting details, noting her hotel, her daily routine, the names of the friends she traveled with, and when she bragged in her texts about enjoying cocktails while I suffered solo, I kept calm, my fury hidden behind polite messages, carefully crafting my plan while pretending to enjoy the city, exploring restaurants, gathering local contacts, and even arranging small incidents that would later make her trip unravel without her suspecting a thing. And by the second day, I had made contact with the hotel concierge, slipped them a discreet warning about her false information and the potential misuse of the booking, and sent anonymous alerts to the activities she had planned, causing subtle cancellations and delays that she attributed to bad luck. And I escalated my plan further by hiring a local guide who, unknowingly to her, documented every moment of her outing, capturing embarrassing situations she would never want me to see, while I continued to appear cheerful in my messages, feigning oblivion, until the third day, when I finally enacted the core of my revenge. I arranged for her flight to be accidentally delayed, upgraded her room in a way that was uncomfortable and inconvenient, and ensured that all the little luxuries she had bragged about were suddenly unavailable, orchestrating minor humiliations that compounded into daily frustration. And then, the final act. I booked myself a last-minute tour of the city, making sure to overlap with her schedule, so that when we coincidentally crossed paths in the crowded streets of Cancun, I arrived confidently, calm and collected, while she, flustered, exhausted, and humiliated by a series of events that seemed like misfortune but were meticulously orchestrated, realized for the first time that her prank had backfired spectacularly, and as I greeted her politely, pretending to have had a wonderful solo experience while subtly revealing just enough that I knew of every misstep she had suffered, her face went pale, her bravado faltering, the laughter in her texts replaced by awkward silence, and I knew in that moment, as we walked together to the hotel lobby under the blazing sun, that I had regained control, not with anger or shouting, but with precision, patience, and a calculated series of inconveniences designed to mirror her cruel joke back on her, teaching her that betrayal, even in the form of a prank, has consequences, and that the person she had underestimated, the one she thought powerless and alone in Mexico, was actually the one orchestrating every move behind the scenes. And by the time we returned home, she was humbled, careful, and aware of the power she had nearly lost, while I, calm and unshaken, understood that revenge is sweetest not when shouted, but when delivered quietly, perfectly, and with a smile that says, "I've been watching, and you underestimated me."